Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. We are going to do just a backyard garden tour. The front yard hasn't changed since last week, last video I've posted, but things are coming along back here. So we're going to start with my Dahlia patch. I also have one Stacky's Humelo in bloom here. Always wanted to grow that. Finally got on clearance last summer and had a place to put it. These dahlias are starting to bloom a lot more. I have to look at my tags, but I think these were mislabeled because they are short and single, and I'm pretty sure I bought all. The ones that I put over here were all, whatchamacallit? I'm sorry, it's the evening, and I've been working all day out here in the yard, and so my brain is kind of fried. All the big ones, big dinner plate dahlias. And then these two are supposed to be the same. This one is white. It's supposed to be white and pink. Maybe the pink will come out. I mean, either way, it's gorgeous. That one, I don't know what it is. I thought that was the same as these, but who knows? But I got a good deal on, Menards has great prices on their dahlias, so I guess to be expected that they're maybe not the best, most reliable labels. These are starting to bud up. We've got some golden scepter. That's the big one. Manhattan Island. Tried growing those last year, but my whole dahlia patch failed in the back, which is why I moved it up here. And then this one, I wasn't exactly sure what it was, so I'm excited to see that open so we can figure out what the heck dahlia that one is. We've had some really hot weather again. Luckily here in Minnesota, northern climates, it's like a day or two, and then we get some relief and some cool weather blowing in, usually from Canada. But I'll tell you what, when it is hot sun and this gets shade until about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then the sun kind of starts creeping further over this way. And these dahlias suck every bit of water out of their leaves. So they don't transpire it, and they look like dead. They are real wilty. But I need to finish working on this area and turn this all into a garden bed. You can see I use cardboard and other various things to kill off the grass over here, but eventually this will all be garden bed. Got a clearance plant over here that will not be planted there. Sweet tea heucherella, I've got 3. This is the worst they've ever looked this year. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it just got too dry this week. We've had nice rain this year though, and the soil is not dry, so I don't know. Maybe just a stress left over from our hard winter. So hopefully they make it through summer and stick around for next year. We've got a couple zinnias in here. I did throw a few more annuals. These are lime, are they called lime light? They might be something lime. They're like lime green with hot pink blooms, 4 o'clocks that I grew from seed. And then I threw in a bunch more, you can kind of see them, Gomphrena carmine, those big like pink ball flowers. Those are good ones to mingle because the stems stay really long and the leaves are small, so they can mingle with other plants well. We've got the coleus, Wicked Witch starting to fill out here. I don't know what's going on with that one with all the, I'm going to pick all those leaves off. I don't know if that was just stress from after I planted it. And then the Rock and Play and the Blues salvia, I have 2 of them that are starting to flush out. Juniper, not a whole lot of changes. Talked about treating it with Epsom salts for magnesium deficiency. Still full of beautiful mint green berries. So we'll see how that does. I would be really, really bummed if that didn't make it through. But I'm hoping it'll recover. I'll keep an eye on it, keep treating it. Still no action on the Limelight Prime hydrangea. Still haven't cut back the Cat's Pajamas Nepeta. It does still have a little bit of color in the blooms, but I do like to cut it back so it looks tidy, and then it'll flush out some more blooms. This got some winter kill in there still. Anna's Magic Ball, Arbovita. I did look up, these are the Christophii allium. Of course, out of bloom and going to seed now. Beautiful purple though. I really like those. I don't know if those self-seed like the Purple Sensation does, but I just like that texture of the seed head there. This phlox I have not cut back. I will be cutting it back. I do not think it is aster yellows. I'm pretty sure it is wilt. I was looking more closely at the plant, and it looks really good, really healthy in the center. It's even putting out a second flush of blooms. And then part of it is all wilted and kind of deformed blooms. And that is typical of either fusarium wilt or verticillium wilt, which is a fungal disease. It infects the plant via its root system and lives in the soil. And I know I have wilt, one or the other. Sorry, got a mosquito biting my knee. In my soil in this garden. I've had lost plants to it before. So I think I will cut it back and hope for the best. There's not much you can do. The plant might recover. Otherwise, if the whole thing dies, I'll have to dig it out, and I won't be able to replace it with the same plant like you can with aster yellows, because the disease is in the soil, and there's a ton of plants that are affected by wilt disease. There are some that are resistant though. So if this one dies, I'll think of something else to plant here. I cannot wait until these Sunseeker open. They're just pushing out their petals now. Sunseeker salmon. Such pretty flowers on that Echinacea. And my lily, I have an after 8 lily over here behind this Solidago. Boy, that's feeling crispy. What's going on? Anyway, I have no beetles this year on eating up my lilies. Normally they look ratty and tatty and disgusting because those darn lily beetles are all over them, but nothing. So I am thrilled about that, even if it's just 1 year, that I get 1 year without beetle damage, making everything look gross. Need to cut back. I deadheaded a little bit on the rose, but didn't have time to get in there fully. So I'll deadhead that. It's already pushing out some new growth. And the Weigela, I do need to just kind of size control it a little bit. But all of these Echinacea started really opening back here. And they're so pretty. All of these hot pink ones are planted themselves. They are seeded, self-seeded from the other varieties that I had in here. And they're just kind of mingled everywhere. I've got the Kobold Leatrice just starting to open. Leatrice is cool because it puts out these long, tall, spiky blooms, and then the blooms open from the top down instead of the bottom up like a lot of things. So they just started opening at the top of their blooms. Pollinators love those. They are nativar. I still need to restake this Noblesse yarrow. It got split open really bad with the rain. So I'll start staking that. Looks like a couple branches got crunched too. I see some brown in there. This is the original coneflower that was planted here. They kind of open like a bright orange water and then turn like watermelon pink as the blooms age. I do think that one of these has aster yellows down here. See that deformed one? So I'm going to dig that out. I don't want to take any chances. If it was just the bloom that was deformed, I would think maybe mites, but that's the whole plant is deformed. So I got to dig that one out. And look how many blooms are on the South Seas daylily, just ready to burst. Got a couple open right now. Such pretty coral color with that deep gold throat in there. Let's see, are you going to focus? Are you focusing? It's hard for me to, oh, come on, camera. It's hard for me to see. There we go. Hard for me to see on this screen with my sunglasses on, but I cannot see without my sunglasses. So lose. I don't know what that, anyway. Not a lot of blooms on my drumstick allium, and then they kind of splayed out. I don't remember what I had planted. There's kind of a hole back there with nothing in it, and I don't know if I'm missing a plant or what, but so those were a little disappointing. But the Coreopsis looks gorgeous, and the Holy Grail hibiscus is looking good, working its way to blooming, and then still have beautiful color. I really need to get a tall trellis for my clematis here, the Barbara Harrington clematis, because that is so stunning. I checked at Gertens. They didn't have any terribly tall ones. I'm thinking I'm going to have to bite the bullet and order online. I just spent a bunch of money on both my car and the plumber, so that won't be happening anytime soon. I just want a sturdy metal trellis because it's hard to get back there. So I don't want anything that needs maintenance. I don't want to DIY anything that's going to fall down. It's got to stay up all winter. So anyway, I've got the other Anna's Magic Ball over here. Sedum, and then the phlox started opening. Opalescence phlox. This thing is very tall too. I wonder if I could plant another one of those in where that hole is. Ideas. This will be just full of blooms in a week. So probably on the next tour it will be stunning. And these bloom for a really long time. Just beautiful. Like bubblegum pink with that hot pink center. And I don't see any signs of powdery mildew. These are very resistant varieties, so that is fantastic. Daisy Made Daisy still doing its thing. I could probably deadhead a few of these flowers and it'll keep putting out new blooms, but these bloom for a really long time as well. Oops, thought I stepped on a plant, but no. So pretty. And just sunny yellow and white. Look how full of blooms that is. I mean, you can't even see the foliage, only from the side. One more trim I need to do on this aster, but this thing just, you can see why I have a gap in there, but I don't plant anything because it will fill in this whole space. Annuals still kind of getting their legs back here. The cosmos started opening though. I think I showed that. I guess nothing really new to report. Over here, look at that Barbara Harrington with that switchgrass. That's the Shenandoah switchgrass. I have two of them. And then the hydrangea over there that's like super tall stems this year. That's a little lime hydrangea. That thing's like 6 feet tall. Easily. And we'll swing around to this side because all of the cone flowers started opening over here. And look, a secret one that just planted itself in amongst the, I love that, in amongst the ornamental oregano, which also started opening just a little bit. Few lavender blooms there. It is, you see all the beetle damage, all the little polka dots on there. Those are flea beetles, which plague my yard and chew holes into all my leaves. Planted in the ground, the Aguilera Sky Blue Ageratum filling in, looking good. This Nepeta really got much smaller this year, but it's still blooming. And again, seed heads, the bee balm started opening though. This is the hot pink. Oh, I didn't talk about so these are all self-seeded as well. And I love they're like multicolor, these blooms. Okay, we'll walk this way first. We're going back to the bee balm. Just hold tight. But I love how it's like light pink, dark pink. I don't even know what plant is what in there. There's one red one over here. Kind of a warm water, like a pinky red. That was the original. I had 5 of those. And those kind of petered out. And then, but I leave the seed heads up and this is what they do. They just seed themselves. Echinacea, at least for me. And then we do have some shade plants actually surviving down here for once this year, and plenty of weeds. And then the Firelight Hydrangea just started opening its blooms. It's all budded up and just a few panicles have started opening blooms. So usually the hydrangea and the Echinacea are in full bloom with white and pink, and it's so pretty. I love it. Can't wait. And then no big changes over here. Now that I've got my annuals really taken care of, man, this little lime's looking nice and full. I can start working on the evergreens. I did get one thing planted. We'll see that over on the other side. So I've got some rearranging to do in this area. That lady fern is just so beautiful. That's a lady in red. And then these were unlabeled. I don't know what variety of, there are 2 different ones it looks like from the blooms. A stilby, those are. But just, I love how fluffy a stilby blooms are. They're so like little clouds, little poofs, cotton candy almost. But those 2 really are thriving back there. Sun King Aurelia, getting huge. as they do. Still haven't trimmed back the salvia. That's on my list. Willow getting nice and big. Man, these shrubs are really filling in. There's actually a random bee balm back here too, but now it's getting engulfed by the shrubs because they are finally loving their life. So maybe I'll move that one out. Oh, sorry about that. Try not to crush my heuchera. So I might have to move that one out. We've got the weedy grass coming up over here. One of these years, I'm going to have to take care of that stuff. But the yarrow still blooming. This area's kind of messy. Let's not linger. We got some work to do over here. Let's go back to the other bee balm. It was looking so pretty over here. And look at this boom chocolate geranium. I got to trim those branches that are hanging over the grass. And I really need to get to edging and shaping these beds some more. It's kind of driving me nuts now. So some of these bloom stalks are going out of blooms, or they just have one or two buds. So I can really start deadheading. But look how... So this is like one bloom stalk with like multiple branches full of blooms on it. These are just incredible plants. And for me last year, they at some level of bloom for the entire summer. And there's a bumble visiting all the flowers. But this corner is starting to take shape. So we've got the beautiful Joylene Nicole daylilies. These are the ones that I was talking about earlier, where they're like peach with a yellow throat and a ruffly edge, and they smell good. These ones stay more petite. They're actually quite small, maybe the size of like the Stella d'Oro, but they don't spread, I think, as vigorously as those do. And I've got my snapdragons kind of mixed in here. And this coreopsis, which next year I will have to move because it is getting engulfed by boom chocolata. We've got a volunteer echinacea, hot pink, love it. And then the hot pink bee balm. This is just like covered with pollinators, especially when the sun is out. I see a bunch of bubbles on there right now. That is, I believe, Bubblegum Blast. Again, it was unlabeled when I bought it, but I'm pretty sure it is Bubblegum Blast Monarda. And that started out maybe 5-6 years ago, just from one 1-gallon plant can. That was it. Just one little plant, and it's just kind of very slowly spread since then. Easy to dig out if it starts taking over or I don't want it somewhere, but it is very well behaved, so I would highly recommend. And behind that, the Caradonna salvia doesn't have any color really left on its bloom stalks, but it's sending up like secondary blooms, so I'll leave that for a while. Kind of like the texture back there, and it doesn't look ratty like some stuff does. And that variety does not split open for me. Caradonna has been great. It doesn't split open like the other ones do. Still got the nice lime green color on the barberry. I love that with the dogwood there, the strawberry daiquiri in the background. I need to do some trimming though. That one's kind of taking over. I still haven't trimmed over my hosta. It's for those of you who have watched several recent tours, and I talk about trimming this every single time. But this is a I keep wanting to say 9-bark, but that's not an arborvitae. North Pole arborvitae. Looking beautiful. These two plants, two of the best deals. This little grouping here, really, some of the best deals in my entire garden. The biggest bargains. I think the arborvitae was $10. Each of the barberry, I have 3 of them, were $5. And then this beautiful dogwood was $5 on clearance. Of course, they weren't beautiful and spectacular when I bought them, but just give them time and they did great. So, halcyon blue hosta, getting a lot of green on its leaves. This time of year, it just gets a lot of sun because the sun is lower. I'm working on getting more shade, so in future years, there will be a little bit more shade over here. But the sun, I talked about this before, the sun sinks lower. Now we're at high summer. But as summer goes on, it sinks lower, so that will get more shade. And then this is a mum. Not supposed to be hardy, but I just popped it in the ground one fall, and it kept coming back, so I let it. Although 2 years ago, it really died back quite a bit. But, you know, it's kind of recovering. It's like a burgundy color. The Diacia over here, this is Trinity Grace Diacia. This is such a low maintenance plant. It mingles well. I think I have only 4 of them in this spot. I grew these, got them on clearance last 2 years, I think, to test them out because I hadn't ever grown them before or heard of them and really love them. So decided to do a whole flat of them this year. Love the autumn frost hosta mingling with the Echinacea there. And then we've got more of the Diacia mixed in with the Persian Shield. I did the Persian Shield here last year and they did fabulous, so excited for that. Ooh, bug flew up my nose. Do need to get in there. You can see hellebores hold their blooms for several months. They kind of turn greenish, but then they do start drying out, so I do get in there. Okay, there's a gnat that really wants to fly up my nose. It's driving me crazy. So get in there, cut off the blooms because the leaves start to look crunchy and it'll look much better. My patch of geranium, this is the Biokovo geranium, bloomed beautifully, healthy foliage, and then all of a sudden it did this. This is what it did last year too. Just all looking like it's knocking on death's door all of a sudden. So I did, well, I had to dig a big old weed out of there, but I've been just trying to give it water. We've had so much rain though, the soil is not dry. So I don't know what its problem is. But I did, where I dug up a giant weed and moved some of the geranium around, plant one of my seed started Gomphrena. This is the raspberry, what's it called? Raspberry something. We'll see it in future tours when it's looking a little bit better. Silver gumdrops, heuchera, looking good. And then the Giles von Hees Veronica in full bloom. Of course, all Veronica are just pollinator attractors. Although you don't see them now, it's evening, so they're starting to turn in for the night. But I've got a couple torchlight coleus back here. We've got some Virginia, which kind of gets covered up. The wee hosta, Trevi fountain lungwort. I just love the foliage, but that's starting to fill out that space. Just looking nice and full and lush back here. And then this is the other opening act, ultra pink phlox. This one is not afflicted by fungus. Hopefully it does not suffer from it. Really bummed about this. So this Rudbeckia, this is an annual Rudbeckia that I grew from seed last year. And I just leave all my annuals in the ground and pull them out in the spring. But this one was sprouting, so I left it. And it got nice and big and full of blooms, and now all of a sudden wilt. So I don't know if it got borers in the stems. I have had that with my Rudbeckia, or if it is another wilt disease, but so irritating right before it bloomed. What the heck? Are you kidding me? But it did kind of self-seed around. So I started more from seed. That's what you see down here, the smaller ones. These I started this winter. 2 of them have opened. So I planted a bunch more. Hopefully these don't all get wilt. And then I did notice a bunch of little Rudbeckia seedlings from the plants that I left last year. So Rudbeckia is pretty easy to spot as seeds because they have these kind of chunky, like as seedlings, the leaves are almost like succulent looking, but then they're like fuzzy. So, but don't confuse them with thistles, they are not. I got my spirea planted, the candy corn, double play candy corn spirea. And then just today I planted the remainder of my snapdragons over here. So hopefully those will fill in nicely. And then foxglove, some of it self-seeded. Four of them I started from seed inside. Blooms coming on the blue drinking gourd hosta. And then I did get my, oh boy, I'm drawing a blank. My juniper planted. Skyrocket, is that what it is? My brain is fried. I'm tired and hungry, so apologies. Do not remember the name of this, but looking good here. So this will get maybe 10, 15 feet tall by 3 or 4 feet wide. So it should give me some more shade again on my little hosta patch in future years, assuming it survives. That is always the question. But I did a bunch of weeding back here today, cut stuff back. I will be moving these grasses and planting another North Pole arborvitae back here. Got things mulched up. Man, I pulled a lot of weeds. We've got mulch showroom galore, all my different colors and styles of mulch back here, but I don't care because they're cheap. And I did plant some milkweed. So I have one milkweed here, and I planted last fall, the butterfly weed. And then I got a seed packet and started a bunch of them. So I planted, they're little baby things. I did like the winter sowing in a milk jug. Finally got those planted up next to the Cheyenne Sky panicum switchgrass. This will be really pretty. The Eupatorium bone set just still budded up, not quite open yet. I know the bees and pollinators can't wait for that one. And then we've got a native bee balm back here. That'll be full of purple blooms. So, but the Lismachia firecracker kind of peeking in there with its yellow blooms. That thing spreads like crazy, so just be careful. But man, there was so much weeding to do back in here. I really let it kind of go nuts. But the Pachysandra looks much better with the weeds all taken out of it. And then I dug up a self-seeded wild violet and planted my Godzilla fern here. I forget, that's a cross between a ghost fern and something else that gets huge. But they look like Japanese painted ferns, but they get massive. And then this is an Atlantis hosta. I love hosta blooms, and the bees love them. I do trim them when the blooms are done so they don't look ratty, but I always let my hostas bloom. And these three heuchera are looking rough, but I'm just giving them time. I'm hoping they'll recover. Got autumn frost hosta, first blush hosta back here. I dropped my, good thing it's not windy. I dropped the cover for it. So this one, you can see the red tones are gone from the leaves now pretty much. There's just a hint of it, but the stems stay red. So it's just kind of solid green and will stay red stems all summer. And I'm getting caught up in the lilac. I'm excited for this trout lily to bloom. I thought that one was dead. It was just a late sprouter, evidently. Solomon seal. Also excited for the snake root to bloom. Can't remember, is the new name Actia or Semicifuga? Was Semicifuga the old name? These things have like 40 names, I swear. I did notice some kitten damage from the feral kittens on my dwarf goat's beard. Looks like somebody's been rolling around in there. Good thing it's hidden by a hosta leaf. A conocloa grass peeking through. Yeah, looking good in fall. This guacamole hosta is humongous. I will probably have to move that one eventually because it's going to take over everything. I'll have to do a hosta tour and look up all the names again. I did one last year, but I've since added several. Yeah, and they're just fuller this year, so it's nice to see an updated tour as things mature and just put on more size. I have the little drift of Japanese painted fern in here too. And I love this. I have two of these praying hands hosta. Just that different texture in the foliage. It's really neat. So I did dig out some of the weeds in this patch of ajuga. I'm sure they'll come back, though I didn't get all of the roots. Rainbow's End hosta, one of my absolute favorites. I'm thinking maybe next year I can divide that and pop it around elsewhere. And I like that the clematis kind of I like the blooms from the Jacob's ladder kind of collapsed into it, and so it looks like it's got purple blooms, and the clematis was climbing through. I did trim back this Brunnera. This one these get really beat up by flea beetles damage every year, but don't look at that. Look at the violas. Cheerful, happy violas over here that plant themselves for me. I'm also having seedlings come up of all the Jacob's ladder, which I'm fine with. If that wants to take over the whole back, that's fine by me. I accidentally pulled a few and they were easy to pull, so I'm not too worried about it. Hosta's doing good over here. I'd weeded and hacked back some of the growth coming through the fence a little bit today. Trimmed back. This looks much better. The variegated Brunnered is putting out new leaves. That's another flea beetle snack. Blooms starting to pop out, or buds rather, on my Bobo hydrangeas. The branches that get more sun have more buds. That's a really late one to bloom, the Bobos. But that's okay, I don't mind. And still haven't trimmed back the Geum over here. But they'll be fine. I'll get to it when I get to it. This sedum splits open. It does not, this is the Rock and Round Pop Star, I think it's called. It does get a fair amount of shade over here. So I'm thinking if I finally get to take out this grass and turn this into garden bed or mulched area, I can move this out a little foot or two and that'll get more sun. Still weird curly leaves on the raspberry splash lungwort. I took a picture of one of the garden tents where I picked up a new lungwort, a Mrs. Moon, and they had about a dozen raspberry splash like in plant cans, and every single one of them, their leaves were completely curled up like that. It's so bizarre. Like they curl in. The plant doesn't seem to like slow the plant down, but do you see how like curled in they are? And I've Googled it. I cannot find anything on the internet at all, and it's just that variety. Same thing like when I was at Bachman's, the raspberry splash were all curled up, but the varieties that were right next to them, fine. And none of the other lungwort that I have here are doing that except for my 2 raspberry splash. So I don't know. Might be a new issue, and that's why you can't find anything yet about it online. You can see how crazy overgrown this gets, like so fast coming through this fence. This is why I say we need a Venetian blind fence where I can roll it out of the way, get all that stuff, and then roll it back down. The Kahari down there, Dianthus, looking pretty. And I might not show you too much over on the other side. Still haven't trimmed this back. I need to do a big day of trimming. My honeysuckle, this thing just grows so crazy fast. It's really insane how quickly these grow. The Rockin' Back in Black Sedum, are they called Rockin'? I don't know. Back in Black Sedum, looking beautiful. 3 of them there. Oh, I missed a giant weed. Ugh. So we'll just look at this from afar because I also have to trim back. It's just too dang hot to do that kind of stuff. I have to trim back the blooms on the everything. The lamb's ear and the lady's mantle. But especially because it's like flopped over onto the St. John's wort, which is starting to bloom its yellow bloom. So, and need to weed back here. This area is looking pretty rough. I need to cut back the dogwood because that really flopped quite a bit with all of our rain. And it's just kind of flopping over everything. But look how huge this, how pretty the Ligularia is this year. Loving that. I had a small one back there, but it was just getting covered by all these crazy hostas. So I got a bigger one, and I'm glad I did. And the 9-bark foliage looks very nice over here too. This is the tiny wine 9-bark, and it is not tiny at all. I also need to dig up a bunch of this creeping Jenny. I kind of let it go. I just don't want it to take over everything. It's a nice ground cover and does a good job with weed control. And it is walkable. I just don't want it like everywhere in this garden bed. Hey everyone, it's me from the future, or I guess the past by the time this video posts. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. I got cut off because once again my memory card filled up, so but it's been a few days now. But I just wanted to conclude the garden tour. So that is all. I really, maybe tonight, can trim this honeysuckle back because it is really wild at this point. I have a lot of trimming back to do, just little bits at a time. I did also, in the meantime, since the first part of this video, purchase a whole bunch of clearance plants because my favorite garden tent at Fred Aloni's Ace Hardware in Arden Hills, if you are local to the Twin Cities area, they started 75% off all their annuals. So just be warned, I'll be going back for round 2 this weekend and filling in any spots in the garden where I want a little more color. So anyway, oh, and there's Mama Cat coming around looking for food. So we'll put out some of that for her. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.